to focus pretty much quite high than I used to do it earlier during work. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good
Exercise,
balance.
exercise is key. Yeah, I find especially for the sleep one.
Yeah.
I used to run a lot. Like last year, I was running every day almost, but I hadn't ran in probably a couple of months. And so actually, just yesterday, I went out and I went for a big run. And mainly, it's the sleep. I know that if I exercise and then at night I just collapse into my bed and fall asleep and get really good sleep. So
Yeah.
I got myself back in a gym routine. About 3 workouts a week. I feel great, man.
awesome.
Yeah, it's feels like your body's a well lubricated system.
Yes.
You can do anything.
Cadillacing your body.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. I think I should be lifting some weights because I do running and yoga, but I think the strength training is super important as well.
Yeah. Running causes quite a loss of muscles. So I do walking generally, not much of running.
Well, in a calorie deficit, it will cause to burn some muscle, but
Yeah.
if you eat plenty, it shouldn't.
Oh,
It'll make
yeah.
your heart healthier.
It'll make your heart healthy. It'll also build muscles for
Totally.
sure, especially if you sprint, and especially if you sprint uphill. Then it's like doing deadlifts. It's a high intensity workout for your posterior chain, which is your entire back body, so your hamstrings and your back and everything.
Okay.
So if you can find a hill, and but the thing is, running on cement always takes a bit of a toll on your body. It's not so good for your knees, and it's best if you can find a trail. But so you're in downtown Vancouver, right?
No, in South Vancouver.
Oh, okay. So probably there's some trails somewhere.
Yeah, there's a trail. If you know Queen Elizabeth Park, maybe.
I forget.
It's in South Vancouver, but yeah, there's a good running trails. But major part would be I don't eat much of meat.
Oh yeah.
I just do eggs, so yeah, there's less protein in my diet.
Yeah, me too. I don't eat meat either.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Hey, Austin and Mohammed. Hey, Austin, was it Omnipool this morning or?
No, that was yesterday morning.
Oh, okay. Because you and Taz missed the stand-up today. I thought maybe there was a study group.
Oh, I didn't see it in the LTF survey.
Yeah, so it's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Yeah, but I just mean that I looked at the server and I didn't see anyone in one of the rooms.
Oh, I think we were all a couple minutes late.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so just take a note of that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Cool. Okay, well, it's LTF crew today, I guess. Anyways, that's fine. So we'll get started. Kind of an interesting day today. We're gonna live out the proposal inverter because we're gonna actually make multiple proposals. So we're gonna manually perform what the proposal inverter needs to perform. Yeah, Johan?
Are you getting a call from the Gnosis multisig? I am.
Yeah, I just hung it up. I don't know.
Okay, I'll hang that up as well. Okay, all good.
Gotta love Discord. It's such a cool experience. So yeah, we'll put up a couple proposals. We'll open up what we have so far for the proposal inverter, and we're gonna break off work, and we're going to see how we can get funded through this work, through these proposals, and yeah, and then we'll have 3 weeks from now to work in parallel and have a sort of finished model for the proposal inverter. And then the labs is going to move on to its next chapter, which is going to be research on rewards programs. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up labs and labs agenda. So we have Friday, August 27th. And we're going to post 2 proposals. And then we're going to open up what we have so far. And we're going to assign components of work. Okay, so the first thing is that there's 2 organizations specifically that are interested in funding this, apparently. So we have PrimeDAO, which is really cool, and we have the TEC, which we're in right now. So I've been in touch with Ruben Russell, who is a sort of community ambassador for PrimeDAO, and he has sent me these resources to go ahead and put a proposal forward on PrimeDAO. So I'll send these resources in the labs chat. That's really interesting. This is the contributor guide for PrimeDAO. Earn rewards and co-ownership by contributing. Please join the Discord server. PrimeDAO is a decentralized coordination engine for systematic advancement in open finance, also known as decentralized finance or DeFi. DeFi is a new type of finance that is transparent and accessible to anybody around the world with access to the internet. Okay. It talks about what is a DAO, components of PrimeDAO. So here's DAO to DAO. So this is actually where the proposal inverter fits, DAO to DAO relationships. So then there's a tutorial on creating your first proposal. And it says you're ready to join PrimeDAO, almost. There's a couple things you should think about first. Do you see yourself as a contributor or an ambassador? So by making a proposal, we are contributors. We're actually a contribution organization. And yeah, so it has you go through and it says post in Discord some of your previous work and submitting your first proposal. So they use a DAO engine called DAO Stack. It's DAO Alchemy. And so they have you go through and submit a proposal on chain. Some interesting videos here. But they have a review process. So they actually have you fill out a template, which I didn't see linked here, which I'm just going to make a note to Ruben because he said that the template should be in the documentation, but I don't see it there. Okay, so luckily Ruben also sent me a template. Okay, so let me go ahead and link these in the labs channel. Oops. this is PrimeDAO Contributors Guide. And I'll get here Proposal Inverter and template. PrimeDAO proposal template. And also I should grab, I went ahead and started filling out a template and got some feedback from Ruben and Jeff. So let me post that here as well. TEC Lab proposal to PrimeDAO for this is very meta too because we're building a proposal inverter. Proposal inverter proposal to PrimeDAO for proposal inverter modeling and specification. Okay, so if we open this up, so this is a filled out version of the PrimeDAO proposal template. So this template proposal with guidelines on key aspects you might want to include then writing your proposal. Keep in mind it's okay to bend or break guidelines. If your proposal doesn't fit this template, don't feel the need to follow the template. Okay, so we have lots of comments. Nice. Integrate that from Ruben. Nice. Common stack. Capital B, capital S, capital P, capital DAO. Nice bold font, looks good. Nice phrasing, that's awesome. Add the collective, okay, cool. Delete space. Okay, so block science is one word with capital B, capital S, and open research office hours. Oh, hey, Tonga. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, maybe you're muted. Okay, so we just integrated a whole bunch of comments. I'll read this out to you guys. This is what I put together for the short pitch of the proposal inverter. So proposal inverter, spec, and modeling, TEC Labs collaboration. The proposal inverter is a high-demand DeFi component since the inception of the DAO ecosystem. It was documented in the original Commons Stack work as the Giveth proposal engine. More recently, it has been written about in collaboration with Block Science and PrimeDAO in exploring DAO-to-DAO collaborations. And here's a link to the Medium article. The proposal inverter inverts the DAO proposal relationship such that instead of having many proposals for a single DAO, we will have many DAOs for a single proposal. This enables the collaborative funding of proposals that benefit multiple DAOs throughout the ecosystem. You can think of this as solving the Byzantine generals' problem for the collective funding of public goods for DAOs. The spec and modeling development is happening publicly through the Token Engineering Commons Lab. The lab has an open development session every Friday, 9 a.m. PST, 6 p.m. CEST in the TEC Discord. Longtail Financial is pooling additional development resources towards the modeling and spec, and Block Science is providing advisory, particularly through Dr. Z's open research office hours and the previous iterations of modeling that have been done on the topic. Working repository and working documentation. So requested is 20,000 USDC and 20,000 Prime. See the rewards and roles matrix to better understand how much Prime you qualify for as a bonus for contributing to the DAO. So I opened this up and found it kind of confusing. Contributors will receive their reward token from the contributor reward portion of the overall budget distribution of 14.5 million Prime tokens. Token sync strategy. Oh, I didn't open this up before. Prime functions as a utility and reward token in Prime, alternatively referred to as a work token. Prime generation. PrimeDAO governors curate and vote on mission-aligned proposals. Contributors execute on their proposals, growth of PrimeDAO revenue, and the Prime token. PrimeDAO ecosystem of open finance, primitives, protocols, and products, inclusion of temporary token sinks. Permanent token sinks or buy and burn. Adopted from the Web3 sustainability loop. Prime functions as a utility and reward token in Prime, alternatively referred to as a work token. It borrows from the Web3 sustainability loop model in token engineering, where a mission-aligned and decentralized builder collective creates value for the ecosystem. The center of this model is that of a loop where the collective creates value for the token, and the voters of Prime act as curators, either passing or dismissing work proposals submitted to the DAO. Through a recently submitted proposal, PrimeDAO has agreed that in its growth phase, proposals that increase the utility of the Prime token will be prioritized. Overall, the growth phase strategy is oriented around stacking token sinks, where tokens are removed from the circulating supply through either permanent removal, also known as token burning, where tokens are purchased and removed from the supply forever, and temporary removal. Many mechanisms fit into this category. Tokens can be locked or staked, or purchased by and returned to the DAO's treasury for further use, referred to as buyback and make, and by doing so are removed from the circulating supply. Prime is starting with 2 token sinks with lock and LP manager, but in the future we can imagine more sinks, such as an embedded fee in the Prime aggregator that automatically buys and burns Prime, or common DeFi mechanisms like collateralization, where Prime is locked to mint a stablecoin or other synthetic assets. If PrimeDAO becomes revenue positive, there's always the possibility of engaging in open market operations as well to directly increase Prime's value, but this depends entirely on the appetite of its decentralized governance body. Distribution breakdown. Incentives are 17 million, contributor rewards 14 million, token sale participants 24 million, products 10 million, foundation 1.5 million, incubators 22 million. So I guess the contributor rewards is what we're accessing. So there's 14.5 million of those. So by asking for 20,000 Prime tokens, right now Prime token is about 20 cents. So if we're asking for 20,000 USD, then that's about 100,000 Prime tokens. So we're asking for about with what I have there currently, we're asking for about 120,000 Prime tokens. So 120,000 divided by 14.5 million. So we're only asking for less than 0.1% of their total budget, so about 1/1000th of their total budget. Less than 1/1000th. Is that right? Yeah. I think that's right. Oh wait, no. 8/1000ths. Just under 1% of their total budget to create the proposal inverter. So it just puts it in perspective. So we can read a little bit more about contributor rewards, maybe. held by the DAO. Contributor reward tokens issued by the DAO may or may not include vesting schedules awarded to contributors that provide value, commitment to the development of Prime during the growth phase. Contributors should include developing Prime products and tools, technical audits, evangelism, research, good governance, or any other contribution deemed valuable. Okay, good. I think the proposal inverter certainly fits in here. It's a Prime product and tool. It's evangelism. What does that mean? Let's see. The spreading of the Christian gospel? Okay. Didn't realize Prime was a Christian organization.
Where are we going with this?
There might be some another meaning.
Yeah, I think so.
Should we start reading the Bible?
I guess that's important here for accessing Prime funds.
Okay, in business. Okay, so it might means like supporting a given technology and then establishing that technology as a standard in the whole industry.
Oh, cool. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's also research, and it's also good governance, and it says also any other contribution deemed valuable. So I think we fit this category really well. That's good to know. Definitely gonna bookmark this. Prime utility, PrimeDAO tokenomics. This is a pretty incredible resource.
I think Balancer also gets funding from PrimeDAO, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
Like one of these events, either Balancer Research Group or the current one, Omnipool, is funded by PrimeDAO, like some portion.
Interesting. So I don't see any direct information on how this, because it links here. See the rewards and roles matrix. Okay, that's what we need. Is that what this is? For individuals, for organizations, and contributor organization who has engaged with the DAO for at least 3 months working directly on DAO initiative. The organization should have been compensated a minimum of 35,000 USD equivalent of cryptocurrency by the DAO. In return for services provider, contributor organizations will receive a bonus of Prime for their efforts equal to their compensation. The bonus is pegged to $0.3 per Prime unless the DAO adjusts this rate up to a maximum of 1 million Prime. Prime contributor organization bonuses should be transferred to vesting contracts of a minimum of 3 months lock, 1 year linear vest. A scheme is being developed for the DAO to deploy their own and use their own vesting contracts. This is a little bit confusing to me. I don't see how this helps us, like, oh, okay, this says just to see how much Prime you qualify for. Okay, so we don't actually need to put this in. We don't need to ask for Prime because it looks like it says if we get paid 35,000 USD or more, then we qualify for Prime matching. So I think what I would like to do is to actually just remove this section and change this to 35. Because then if we get approved, then we'll also be approved for the Prime. So and Ruben had some feedback for me that was, let's see, oh, Jeff. Okay, let's go here. And, hey Tom, guy, I saw your message that you're in work environment. That's cool. So Ruben said, break down the costs more, go into more detail. For example, how many TEs does the long tail budget go, and what does TEC funds serve? Okay. Let's address these comments from Jeff. So, okay, delete some empty space. Replace capital S, delete empty space, replace capital L, creation of the proposal inverter, spec, specification, CAD. Okay, and CAD model, he says, okay. With this, capital C, capital L. And then Jessica says, I would agree with Ruben, perhaps just lay out a few high-level tasks for each org and approximate hours, rate, or retainer, duration of work, happy to help if you need. Okay, so we're gonna break this down then, that's gonna help. Let's see, tech funds are for the TEC Labs contribution, proposal's looking great. The TEC is not an entity that can directly receive funding. TEC Labs would be fine. Okay, awesome work. And also, are you planning on allocating some of this to contributors? Might be worth mentioning. If so, a few names here. Here's a proposal we did for Lunaswarm for reference. Okay, let's open that up. So this is a proposal on OneHive. So that's another whole decentralized organizations that we could be putting proposals out for. So really showing the value of the proposal inverter. We could get funding from all three of these organizations all at once through the proposal inverter. So this is the example that Jessica laid out. Cool. They have a project manifesto, and that's good. Let's just take a look at that. Yeah, lots of really good detail here. So they break down these sort of the team information. Okay, anyways, that's what we're getting to today. So I'm thinking maybe we should make this sort of manifesto for the proposal that we can link to from both the TEC and from this PrimeDAO instance. So what I can do is open up, I have the TEC Labs main doc here. And I'm going to create a new document. That is called Proposal Inverter Manifesto. Spec and model manifesto. And I'll just open up the permissions. And I've also gone ahead and if we go to the TEC, let's see, forum.techcommons.org. I've also created a TEC Labs fall semester schedule. So this is a nice resource to have open at the same time. So what I've said is there's two primary initiatives in the TEC Labs this fall. There's the proposal inverter, which is going until September 24th. So we have another 3 weeks as of today to work on this. So we will sort of divvy up work today, and that can, as we assign work that can go directly into the manifesto here. And then I think that will answer a lot of the points that are being brought up as feedback. And then October 1st, the labs, we're going to start rewards research. And we're going to have two special sections, which is market models and networks. So I'll bring up some work that I've done in the past on representing markets like Binance or automated markets like Uniswap as network models, and how we can do some cool stuff like find arbitrage paths. And yeah, did someone want to say something?
What's the network model?
The network model is, so these are what I call market models, and it's like data structures for markets. And you can represent a market as a network. So let's say you have a currency on an exchange. Let's say you have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a node. And if there's a market for trading Bitcoin and Ethereum, then that means there's an edge between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And as you traverse that edge in the network, you are trading your currency for the other currency. And so it's actually a weighted network where the weights of the edges are exchange rates.
Okay.
And you can take that market network model and represent it using an adjacency matrix. So it's a standard way of representing a graph computationally as a matrix.
Cool, yeah.
And
Awesome.
and then that, like, anytime you can get a data structure in the format of a matrix, you just unlock so much capacity, like vectorized computation. So you can start multiplying those matrices against each other. You can start multiplying them by vectors like portfolio. So you can take a portfolio vector and multiply that against an exchange matrix and get really cool stuff. Once you start doing vectorized operations on market models, it's super, super, super powerful. So I just want to give a little showcase of that. And there's going to be some collaborative work happening between Longtail Financial and Block Science on some of the arbitrage systems that come out of this. So that's going to be fun. And I want to do a special session on NFT economics, because I'm starting to do some research on that, because it's needed on LTF initiatives and in other places. So happy to share that with the TEC Labs. So we're going to have Proposal Inverter today, making the proposal and dividing up the work. And then we're going to have a parallel collaborative development session next week, where we all just open up the Proposal Inverter and work in parallel. And then we're going to continue working on the Proposal Inverter for 3 weeks, but we're not going to do it right in the lab. It'll be more sort of asynchronous. And so we'll have these two special sections. And then we'll come back to the Proposal Inverter and do sort of milestone presentations and probably be zipping together a lot of our collaborative work that we've been doing. And maybe we might need one more session. We'll see how it goes up to that point. And then we're going to do 6 weeks of the rewards research. And this rewards research is likely to get funded through the Governance, which has a budget for research, and maybe even funded through TEC as well. And I left a couple buffer slots. And then we'll have a final review of the lab. We'll review the Proposal Inverter, we'll review the rewards research, we can talk about market models, and then in December we'll just take a break for the year. So that's the labs ahead for the year, and we have about 25 more minutes. So we're going to also make a proposal on the TEC. How the TEC works, when you go to proposals, you could go right to the conviction voting, and this is where you go to request funds. But the TEC also has this other channel under proposals called advice process. So you can actually just post a proposal here and it's not directly asking for funds. It's rather it's asking for feedback on the proposal. So it gives a chance for the community to sort of co-develop a proposal and give feedback and iterate on it. And once it gets some sort of rough consensus in the advice process, then you could take a finalized version and go ahead and post it in the conviction voting section, which is actually asking for funds. So right now we have the TEC fall semester is in the advice process section. I'll go ahead and post that in the channel here. Cool. So let me finish reading this to you guys just so you have all the context, and then we'll open it up in the last 20 minutes and see how we can break it up. So I said the proposal inverter must be built. This has been made clear by the many DAOs calling for its creation, including PrimeDAO. It's time to build. This will be an incredible collaboration between Longtail Financial, Token Engineering Commons, Common Stack, Block Science, Curve Labs, and PrimeDAO. Note that this proposal is for the creation of the proposal inverter specification and CAD model. After the completion of the spec and model, smart contracts must be developed, which may be a future proposal. It has been indicated that Curve Labs has resources to develop the contracts upon completion of the spec and model. So breakdown of tokens requested. So we'll break this down more into people, so we can come back to that after we assign work. Let's see. I put in 2 milestones. One is weekly development in the TEC Labs, recorded videos of progress, studying and researching the purpose of the proposal inverter, studying previous work done, implementing a parameterized model of the proposal inverter, testing and iterating on feedback, simulating and analyzing the completed model, refining the spec and model to serve the smart contract development. And final deliverable is for October 18th, it looks like I put. I forget why I put that. It doesn't fit exactly. This one says September 24th. Anyways, I'm going to leave that for now. So final deliverable, community engagement on the deliverables, the spec, the model, and what it means and how to implement it as smart contracts. So a bit of community engagement and communication at the end. So maybe we write a Medium article and maybe we present this in like the CAD monthly community call, maybe present it in PrimeDAO, present it in the TEC, stuff like that. And how is progress reported? Weekly live recorded development sessions and documentation through the TEC Labs. We will be live every week. We will be accountable for the results through transparency, community accountability, and reputation. Longtail Financial is putting its reputation on the line to guarantee delivery of these deliverables. Further reference and reading the original article by PrimeDAO and Block Science. Future iterations. After spec and modeling are complete, the proposal inverter will need to be implemented as smart contracts, used by the DAO industry and communicated such that they can be adopted and leveraged. So this proposal is for creating the spec and model, and we hope to see the smart contracts developed later. So let's go ahead, and what we need to do is break down this section basically on people involved and use of tokens. So what I'd like to do is we now have this proposal inverter spec and model manifesto. So we can go ahead and open up the proposal inverter. So let me get a little bit organized here. So here's the GitHub repository. This is now the manifesto for the project. This is the DAO template. Okay, I think that's all we need. So maybe I'll just do that. And one more thing is this. Oops. Okay, so what we need to do now is identify the different parallel streams of work. I just noticed that this doesn't have the issues tab, so let's turn that on. Okay, so where we left off last week is this, and unfortunately, I do apologize, I had forgot to push this upstream to the repository last week. I just did that this morning. So you will be able to go in there and see the parameterized proposal inverter notebook that we all worked on last week together. It's there now. So what we need to do here is we have a proposal inverter and we started to match this to the spec here. Let's just, I think we'll just jump in here and start brainstorming on essentially what needs to be done. I'll pause here and open up the floor. Are people tracking, and does this make sense so far? Are there any thoughts on something we should be considering that maybe I forgot, or any initial directions that you want to see as we define essentially what I would call the scope of work on how to turn this hackmd file plus this these models that we're now compiling onto this GitHub repository and all of the README. I think we'll just start jotting down notes. So one thing is the README is currently specialized for streamer. So it should be generalized to any proposal inverter. Yeah, it should be generalized. It should be just the generalized proposal inverter. In other words, remove reference to streamer. I would like to see state, yeah, like basically terminology review. Terminology review. Finalize terms of state and parameter variables and parameter variables. And make sure they are consistent between the spec and the model. So for example, we have on our proposal inverter, we have total funds, required stake, epoch length. So here we have total funds, required stake, and epoch length. And I think for each of these, we should add documentation. So we can add like a doc parameter. So add a doc parameter to each parameter on the model. Okay. There's also this idea that we were getting into last time. I don't know if people remember this or picked this up, but I guess it's understanding the difference between state and parameters. So parameters are something that the system is parameterized with. So it's sort of the initial conditions of the mechanism. And the state is what changes over time. So all of these parameters, and this is why I love Python param, because it's so natural. All of the parameters should be parameters on the system. And that's sort of the initial conditions. And the state might be a parameter, or it might be just sort of a function of the parameters. So we can make these getters, getter functions for the state. And we might also want to maintain all the state as parameters like this as well. I'm not totally sure yet. I think as we build this out, we'll land on the most sort of pure and logical way of doing this, whether state attributes should just be accessible through getter functions, which return the sort of formulaic or derived state. So for example, this is called broker claimable funds. So if we see here broker claimable funds, oh yeah, and this can be, I think some of these can be updated. I think some of these state variables can actually be defined in these empty blocks. So let's add that here. Fill in all cells of the state. But some of these will not. For example, epoch length is just a parameter that is defined. It's sort of a constructor parameter to the mechanism, so it doesn't need to have a definition. But I think there's a few things here that are not actually parameters. They should be functions, and so they're just missing their definitions. And maybe in the empty columns we can put a filler, something like, let's see if we can edit this. So total funds, let's just take a look at epoch length. And maybe we can, oh, I gotta sign in. Maybe put initialization or something. Sure. Or constructor. But yeah, so we can get an idea of which of these are sort of primary parameters that are tuned according to the usage of the mechanism in the initialization, or if they can be derived from the first order parameters. So we'll get this whole table filled out, fill in all cells of the state and parameter tables. Now we're just getting into, and we only have 8 minutes left, so I'll pick up the pace here. Let's see, we have only 3 objects: owners, payers, brokers. So we have owners, payers, brokers, and the proposal inverter. And we have the synthetic state change. I forget exactly what that is, but I'm just going to make it another topic. Synthetic state change. And I think I'll take the proposal inverter and... Actually, that's fine. Proposal inverter. And then we have some functionality. So we have deploy, cancel, and forced cancel. Deploy, cancel, forced cancel. We have payers, which have pay. Pay. We have brokers, which have join, claim, and leave. Join, claim, and leave. Proposal inverter is really just, let's see what, oh yeah, okay. So it needs to, the proposal inverter needs to essentially accommodate all of these functions that the other models are going to be accessing. And it needs to maintain its state and according to its initialization parameters. So this is a pretty small spec. This is why I'm thinking if we break this up and come at it from a collaborative approach, it should be no problem. And the synthetic state change has, you know, okay. So I think we can just divide this up. We have essentially 9. We have 9 sections. I'll pause here and stop for reflection. Does anyone have any points that they want to share at this time?
No, I think it's quite like pretty well defined, the scope of work.
Thanks, BK. Oh my goodness, look at gas. Holy shit. I hope no one has to make any Ethereum transactions. I think they really fucked up that EIP 1559.
They almost burned like more than $250 million.
Oh my god, it's all getting burnt. I bet the price is skyrocketing. I bet it's green. Let's see.
Yeah.
Up 4%. Cool. Solana.
Oh, Solana, all-time high.
Yeah, I was reading about Solana smart contracts yesterday. Seems like it's definitely really, really good technology, like good for the future, but I wouldn't want to have to develop on it right now just because it's so early. But we do know a Solana developer, Jake's friend Kevin, so looking forward to getting to know him. Okay, everybody, now, this is voluntary, but there should be, like we've seen, we're gonna put forward this proposal, and we're gonna put forward, and I'll go ahead and finish these up, or if anyone wants to volunteer to stick around or sort of fill these in as well, you're welcome to do so, but I don't mind owning that. And this is voluntary, but I guess at this point we'll take everyone in this call now. If you want to be a part of this roadmap and this collaborative development, then we'll assign these pieces. I think, do we have 5 people here? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5. So if everyone, and feel free, if you think your plate is too full, feel free to say, no, I'm just gonna watch, or I'm just gonna, pass on this one. But if we all do participate, then maybe we just take 2 sections each.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll, who wants to go first? We can just pick 2 and pass it on.
Plate's kind of full right now. Sorry, man.
Okay, Johan, thanks for being honest.
So I think I already started working on number 1
Okay.
and finish that up and push it.
Sweet.
And then I think you started on brokers last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I can but I can try on let's try on number 6 then.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to pass it to someone?
Pass it to Muhammad or Austin.
Actually, I just want to say I prefer to just dedicate my time to tasks in LTF, so I think it's better for me.
Okay. And Austin?
I'm not too sure where to start, honestly.
Okay, yeah. I think because I was pretty early on this and I know what's going on, and I think
Yeah,
the guy kind of pretty.
We've
a bit
we've had 3 sessions on this, and I know most people in this call haven't been to all those, so it might seem like a lot to jump in on. And it's totally okay for anyone who has. And Austin, maybe we'll pick one of these for you, and you can open it up and take a look at it. Essentially, what you got to do is clone this repo, open up this parameterized proposal inverter notebook, and you'll see how we can make class-based, like object-oriented models. And it's super simple. There's just a param. And this might be kind of new to you. I don't know to what extent you've been tracking or reading about Python param and parameterized classes and Python panel. Like there's a lot here. Johan and BK have been into this now for several months. And even me and Mohammed collaborated on this as well through the TEC research on praise. So there's a lot of new stuff here. But anyways, I think it's good to get you started and thinking about it. So why don't we pick one of these for you? And we have 3 weeks, and we'll have a full collaborative session next week. So you'll have plenty of time to sort of start tinkering around and take a look at it, and you'll have plenty of support. And I think there'll be a few more people in this call next week that can jump in and help out. So how does that sound, Austin?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, cool. Is there any particular one that you are interested in?
So if I was gonna work on the broker, that would be like an independent class.
Yep. So a broker is like a worker in the ecosystem. So there's someone who joins a proposal inverter and claims funds, and they can leave at any time. So they have 3 methods, essentially. Cool. And I'll put myself in. I'll just pick up the rest, and I can maybe hand 1 or 2 of them off. BK, do you want to pick up one more? Maybe one of these. So we have terminology review, adding docs to parameters, or filling in cells of the state and param tables.
Yeah, I can pick up number 4.
Cool.
And I guess number 3 is like a general guideline, so
Yeah. I'll leave 2 and 3 open.
Yeah. Should we add this to a GitHub issue, or it's okay?
I think it's okay here as long as maybe I'll just post it right on here. Okay, and so that's the hour. So thank you, everyone. Tune back for next week, and be sure that you have this repo access to this repo. And don't forget, you can always go check out the labs channel. And there is everything should be accessible through the pinned message and the agenda. That's the root document that everything else should be accessible from. And I'll get these proposals up. And hopefully we get some good funding for this.
Yep. Pretty excited.
Yes, awesome. Okay, thanks all. So I'm gonna hop into the X Prize information session. And
Yeah. See you.
yeah, I'll see you guys around.
guys.
And if I don't see you today, have an awesome weekend.
You too. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take care.